All right, everybody. It's another Cringe Master 88 production.
Stop you right there.
All right, what's good, everybody? It's CM88 production, and today we are going to review the Michael reviews. Now, you might be asking yourself, why are you doing a reaction video in the mid 26th? He had the same question, but there was an issue that me and him saw. You see, you might have seen in a few videos, this guy's referenced Michael Jackson more than once now. Whether it's irritating or not, kind of irritating. It's whatever, though. One week.
It is not my son.
So what we're going to do today is we're going to look at the Michael reviews. So with that said, Mr. Jake, pull them up for me.
A hokey, corny, sanitized look at Michael Jackson.
So, here's my thing, and I understand why they're saying this. After everything I've seen, and after this movie making me into a Michael Jackson fanatic, and learning every single little part of his life, this take is such an L take, because everything that crazy that happened, everything that is, you know, they're saying they sanitized it, they cleaned it, they kept it out of the movie. We didn't fucking go to that year. We stopped literally right before, and people are saying, oh, it's because they didn't want to show that part of Michael Jackson's life. No, it's because they're making a part 2. It's because this is a part 1. This is a part 1 with a sequel that has already been confirmed, and I'll give them this, maybe they didn't know that, but I feel like it's hard to miss when at the end it says his story continues. What the fuck do you think that means, people? When we end halfway through a person's story and it says his story continues, there's obviously going to be a sequel.
Yeah, and I'm gonna piggyback right off that. The only real issues that weren't covered, as far as I understand, was record disputes. That was the main thing they didn't cover, which, okay, record disputes, who cares? And also, safe and sanitized look at Michael Jackson. Literally half the interactions was just Joseph Jackson just Chris Browning his son.
I actually don't understand that.
That's super safe.
Super, yeah, 100%.
Jay, do you feel safe right now? Do you feel safe? Do you feel safe?
Go to hell.
This next one is DJ Ben Hamim.
Michael does its best to moonwalk hard through the greatest hits of his career, and Coleman Domingo shines like a diamond as always.
3 out of 5, interesting. So he's basically saying it's a 60 out of 100. He's basically saying it's a 6 out of 10. What he's saying here is that the movie just kind of sprints through his best moments and glosses over everything else, and he's saying that Coleman Domingo, which is the actor for Joseph Jackson, did a good job.
That's who that is.
Which I do agree, obviously.
Yeah.
Joseph Jackson did an amazing job, so that's a W take.
The actor.
Maybe a little bit of both.
Good. That's what I wanted.
Yeah, basically saying it was just like a concert. I just watched a concert. Which, you know.
Are you really complaining?
For real, that is one thing I'll say. Are you really complaining? Yeah. But it's a musical documentary. I just don't get it with these people. Obviously, they want to see more of his life, but I feel like we saw a lot of his life. I have a few tidbits, and that's why for me personally, I give the movie an 8.3 out of 10. I think it does miss some important things that could give it more depth, but some of the things it misses are so minuscule and almost wouldn't even add anything to the movie. I think the movie's near good as it is plot wise. So. Any thoughts?
I didn't know who Coleman Domingo was.
You what?
Next up, Harmony Holiday.
Michael is the type of film that markets itself as the latest in the trendy wave of biopics, but sidesteps deep introspection for crowd-pleasing sequences.
What this guy's basically saying is that they left out, actual things in his life that were controversial, and we already explained that. Everything that's happened to Michael that's extremely controversial happened after the movie and will be shown in the sequel. Duh, obviously dumbass.
I really don't like being interviewed, I swear to God.
If it was just a celebration of Michael, that should be a good thing. Michael was this amazing creator of music, a once-in-a-lifetime generation. talent, and so I don't see a problem with it being a celebration of his music, but, you know, just to each their own, I guess. We'll read a few more.
Michael, however, isn't the film you thought you were getting. Like Elvis in Back to Black, it rewrites history in a way to only see the good.
He's basically saying here is, once again, the same thing that everyone's saying, that it ignores the important history of Michael. They just want to see the controversial stuff. Pretty much a lot of these official reviewers hate Michael and hate the success that he had and hate the money that he gained and hate all the good that he did for the world, and thus they want to see his downfall, and they don't like a movie showing what he did good. They want to tear him apart, and they didn't get that, and so they are upset.
Like, these are just cringy, jealous reviewers. To put it bluntly, in my opinion, cringe-worthy, jealous reviewers that just buzzword, 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 buzzword. Just buzzwords. They have nothing, like, actually critical to say.
You see this? That's the face of somebody who just knows they're right.
We got Candace McMillan from Seattle.
Michael, however, isn't the film you thought you were getting. Like Elvis in Back to Black, it rewrites history in a way to only see the good.
I'll say it once again, there's things to be criticized. There's a few things that they missed. But these people are just kind of giving buzzwords and just saying, hey, there's no interior to this man, where they did indeed show interior. They just didn't show the interior that they wanted, or they missed a few extra steps.
Like, the whole scene where, like, Michael Jackson's talking to a goddamn llama about his, like, deepest thoughts and, like, what does he do? Like, do a side kiss to the llama's head or something? Isn't that what he did?
He does that.
Yeah, and it's like the I Can't Help It instrumental, so it's, you know, you think it's talking to a girl, like, he's being all deep, and then it's the llama. It's a funny moment in the movie. My point being, though, like, that's an interior thing. Like, that's not something you're going to get out of someone. Like, that's something that someone takes to the grave. Like, that's something you know.
You have him constantly showing his love and appreciation for humans and animals and any living thing, where it's him buying the monkey, where it's him having a goddamn hole on his head and continuing to donate all the money he gets from that to the burn victims. And then, I don't know if you want that, if you want the sappy stuff, he frickin' is all movie talking to literally anyone, finding anyone he can to pull him away from his father and escape the shadow that he lives in and become his own man. Here we go, Justin Brown.
Despite some really strong performances and great musical numbers, this movie wasn't it if you were expecting a detailed Michael biopic.
So this is my problem. I think some people get confused to a biopic and a documentary sometimes. The difference is a biopic is supposed to be an actual cohesive story that entertains you like as if it was just a normal movie like Star Wars or something. A documentary is supposed to explain to you every tiny detail of his life, and people that think that that's what a biopic is are simply lost and confused. You don't need to know that Michael Jackson got pulled over by a racist cop and got his car towed and he was in jail for a night. You just don't need to know that on a random fucking summer day, because it means nothing for the overall plot. It doesn't contribute to the rest of his story. It was just an interesting detail about him that he was also a victim of racism. But that's not what the plot was trying to tell you. The plot was going a completely different direction, showing Joe Jackson's shadow over him. And so showing random details and tidbits like that there, I don't know about his affair with, about any of his affairs, literally any of them, pick any of them. None of them really, if you want to tell a movie about his love life, take the Napoleon route, completely ruin what the character, everyone hated Napoleon because it completely ignored what his main goals were and just looked at his love life, and no one wanted to see that. What, you want to have that for Michael Jackson? Just ignore all the good stuff and just look at the love life the whole time?
Let's talk about his transition from Motown instead of like anything that made him the individual that he is. Like, that's the whole point of the movie. It's you finding yourself as an individual through the lens of Michael Jackson. Like, there could have been like random ass characters with the same plot points of like finding your own individual person, but they did it through the lens of Michael Jackson because he had that story to him. So this is a perfect way to make that story known. That's how a biopic works, and that's why Michael was goated.
Brandon Collins, medium popcorn.
Jafar Jackson is phenomenal in this, but his performance is not enough to save this oddly formulaic biopic that is the pure definition of revisionist history.
People have a lot of problems that each musical biopic follows the same exact sort of way and repeats the process. The problem is a lot of these musicians' stories are similar. I think people would like them to go a little more into the creation of the music And I will agree there, that is one of the things that I wish they did actually put in the movie. Maybe the creation of Thriller. People don't know that when Thriller was finished and completed, they actually almost scrapped it because it sounded awful. It didn't sound how they wanted it or how they expected it because they were rushed to finish the album and put it out. And so they took a weekend off, came back, and made it into what they wanted to make it. The most beautiful album ever created, pretty much. And a lot of people don't know that. That could have been interesting to put in the movie, I'll agree. But how much would that have really contributed to the overall plot of him escaping Joe Jackson? That's what people need to understand. There's a main plot here that needs to be followed.
There's nothing necessarily that they kind of sugar-coated over. It's just that they missed certain details. It's not like they said, let's say Michael Jackson did one bad thing. They're not necessarily going to be like, oh, Michael Jackson's the most perfect human of all time. I don't think this movie probably would have done that, but he also just objectively didn't do anything bad during this time. So this is from Victoria Lutzford.
Michael is a jukebox biopic designed to keep the legend alive, rather than uncover any new revelations. Those who worship him as a musical deity will be delighted, and even neutrals will find themselves humming along to the hits.
Now this I actually like. This is the first kind of positive review, despite the low score. I don't actually hate reading this. Yeah, I actually just kind of like this more positivity for one. I don't necessarily agree with the design to keep the legend alive rather than uncover any revelations. Again, with the theme of the movie, I think it goes along with general trends you've seen in society and film of becoming your own person, becoming your own individual. Well, that's just a societal trend that's been going on for years now at this point. It's just that, again, they did it through the lens of a pop figure rather than just making some random freaking guy.
It just doesn't take the time. It doesn't take place in a time that any of these revelations these people are craving so bad happened. And so if they put any revelations in there, that would have been revisionist history right there. That would have been false history, which I think is way more of a crime than anything that these people are trying to blame it for. Chef Michael Israel.
No, it's all Israel.
Jewish. I should have known.
By the way, I love Jewish people.
The film is so chopped and screwed that my heart beat fewer times than the number of cuts in a single scene.
There's a few issues with this. One, why are we using chopped in an official review? Why is that something we're doing?
Why is chopped why is chopped an adjective outside of a TikTok comment section?
Two, the bigger thing, she's complaining about the number of cuts. What? I actually have not heard a single soul comment on that, so I don't even know how to respond to that. I think the cuts were fine. I don't even know,
I didn't even notice them.
Didn't even notice. I actually think the cuts, they did this really beautiful cut in the Don't Stop Till You Get Enough, where they transitioned from him
in the studio
to him actually performing it for the music video. That was a beautiful cut right there, a beautiful transition. That's just one off the top of my head.
Yeah.
So I don't know what this lady's on about.
When me and him first saw that, we were on a subway train going from the movie theater back to our house. We couldn't stop laughing on that subway train. That is the worst piece of literature I've ever read in my life. I think you as well.
Yeah.
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 But did we have a good time here? Hello?
This is a couple podcasters. They make something called the Escape Podcast. And I gotta show David this, and we gotta talk about this.
Or what is the story, right? So,
what is the plot? Is
right.
The top thing I have written down.
The main conflict that they deal with in the movie is him and his dad.
Yep.
And I think that is interesting because Coleman does a great job acting it, and whenever they do tackle that, I found that kind of compelling, and it also. But one of the problems a little bit is his dad was almost as much of a main character as him. It felt like at certain points we moved through bits too fast sometimes. Mm-hmm. It felt a little bit choppy. I liked when it was about him, but him as a character or as a person kind of fell flat even.
So for this first section, they're basically asking what is the plot, and then they answer their own question. Because I think the plot's kind of obvious. To me, I get what they're saying, that this is the only plot, and there could have been more, but that's like saying I don't like Star Wars New Hope because the only plot is the rebels are trying to blow up the Death Star and rescue Leia and save the day.
Or saying that you don't like Titanic because Jack and Rose were the two main characters and their love was like the main plot.
Like, just because there's one main plot doesn't make a movie bad, especially since they're literally saying that plot is good, actually. So I don't get what the critique here is, I guess. And then they're also saying that they skip through some stuff. This part, I will actually agree. There's one specific big detail that I think the Michael movie really missed out on, and it's what docks it almost a whole 2 points for me, and that is the plastic surgery. Now, the plastic surgery did start around this time, and they did show it in the movie. They showed it him, not being okay with his nose, but I do think they missed a crucial opportunity here to actually play a lot into the main plot. What actually happened is his dad kept making fun of his nose and his appearance for like all of his childhood, and even said that he was too black and stuff like that, and that led into a big part of his decision to do plastic surgery and all that, and they never show any of that in the movie, which I do find a little strange. I think they could have done more showing his actual reasoning for getting plastic surgery, other than just one day he looks in the mirror and says, I don't like this nose, and then he just gets the nose job, and his dad's like, okay. And then we just don't really do anything from there on forth. That's one of my biggest missed opportunities in this movie. But other than that, every other detail, I think, like I said, any other details that they could have added in would have just not added to the main plot.
I'm trying to give like a general how I felt.
Yeah. So what is the plot? Is it Michael overcoming his father?
That is basically it, yes.
And it's like, I understand the
Great media literacy skills, gentlemen.
Good job.
criticism of people that are much more. I'm not a Michael Jackson historian. I know very little about him. I've said on this podcast, and I will continue to say, that Billie Jean is probably my favorite and my pick for the best song ever made. But like otherwise, I'm not like this huge Michael Jackson historian, so I don't know about the historical inaccuracies or things that they didn't include. So I understand people being upset about that, and being upset that the story is simply Michael overcoming his father. My problem is not with that. My problem is that if the plot is Michael overcoming his father, where's the inciting incident? Where is the climax? What is the journey that they take you on in the film? Because it seems like throughout the film, it's just Michael can't overcome his father.
We're talking about the inside.
We can't skip over that. This is where this take got egregious for me. This is where Sid the Sloth really started to piss me off. In the movie, there's a movie structure, you got the inside incident, you got the climax, you got the rising incident, you got the falling action.
Wait, what's the inciting?
The inciting incident is the first thing that happens in the movie to incite the plot and get it going.
Okay. I actually not heard of that, okay.
Which is like, what the fuck do you mean there was no inciting incident? I don't know, maybe his father forcing the young little Michael to...
The
10-year-old Michael to do the shows and do all this music bullshit, and the second that he talks back, he gets to burn!
I study history, so I'll yap for a minute here. Gary, Indiana was one of the industrial hubs, 1968, when that scene was set. Like, if you're in Gary, Indiana in the 1960s, especially as an African American, you're broke as fuck, you're looking for an opportunity, your life's kind of cooked at that point, And this young Michael, he's just like forced in the middle of it. So with that historical context, it's like, no wonder there's a lot of tension there, and that's what kind of makes that scene so good. When I first saw that, I was like, oh yeah, they nailed like the people in the setting down. So I don't know what they mean.
I guess they could have showed more of the Jackson days, the Jackson 5 days, the early days. They could have showed more of that. We would have liked to see Diana Ross.
That's a big one, yeah.
That's a big one. But my thing with that is this isn't a Jackson movie. The movie isn't called The Jacksons. The movie's called Michael. And for Michael's plot, there's a reason why they skip over Jermaine. They just say, oh yeah, Jermaine's not here. Of course, there was this whole story with Jermaine dating the daughter of the person who owned Motown, and that's why he didn't go with them. And that's why he left to do his own things. And they split up as a band, and then they had to bring Ricky or whatever the kid's name is, I forgot, sorry. But the point is none of that is Michael's story, right? That doesn't, that's Jermaine's story. That's the Jackson story. That's the story of the family. And I think people do get confused a lot because it is, it's a part of Michael's, what he was surrounded by, yeah, but it doesn't contribute to his main plot and story. And showing all that stuff would not have added any more to the inside incident that once again is quite clearly shown of Joseph Jackson. Bang! Bang! And
to overcome his father. He can't overcome his father. He's going to look him in the eye and tell him he's going to make his album. Didn't do that. He's going to fire him. No, he's got to go through somebody else to do it. He goes on the tour, even though he's peer pressured, even though he has the fire, and he deals with the burns and all that stuff. Like, the ending of the movie is just, spoiler warning, is just he overcame his father by not looking him in the eye or anything like that. He just does it on stage. He does it publicly, and he's like, I'm done, and this and that. It doesn't feel like a movie should. And so here's what I wrote down.
I don't want to even hear what he wants, okay? Because that is just
BS.
That is just wrong. I mean, that is just honestly a lie. When he says Michael did not look at his father, in real life, yeah. But guess what? This is actually an example of the movie doing something that all the critics were asking them to do. They want them to rewrite history and add things in to make the movie better. This is what everyone wanted this movie to do, and it didn't do it, except for this one part where they showed Michael turning and looking at his father and basically telling him to his face, fuck you, we're done, at the end of the movie. And that is the climax. That's what the climax is. And he doesn't do that at all during the movie. That's the plot! That's the plot, dumbass. That's what the plot is.
Yeah. And even when you look at the real life footage, like, Michael doesn't explicitly turn. Like, he doesn't go like he did in the movie. He's just kind of like that's what he's doing. He's grooving. He's like side eyeing his dad. He's not like doing like, it's just, it's subtle.
So, but the point is, and then even after that, and we'll see this guy talk back at this in a minute, but we'll probably skip that part. You see afterwards him walking past his dad and him literally bumping him out of the way and being like, no, we're done. And then his bodyguard being like, yeah, it's over.
The jig's up, pal.
The jig is up. It is done. That is, I don't know what more you can want to tell off your own father. Yeah, he was avoiding him for the rest of the movie because he's a scary motherfucker, and that's a part of the plot. And that's him. That's one of the main plot points, is him overcoming this fear of his dad and him being able to conquer that and become his own man. So back take.
But now when you do research and you Google, what are the inaccuracies in the Michael movie? There's a laundry list of things. Janet Jackson being completely absent from the film is one of them. But even like specific conversations,
she didn't want to be in the film.
Specific relationships are apparently butchered in this film. Again, I am not a Michael Jackson historian. I don't know the specifics, but just one Google search will tell you that. So my weird thing is like, okay, you're historically inaccurate for half the movie, but then the one moment that I feel like I would forgive you the most for being historically inaccurate, for having a stronger moment to end the movie.
What would you want it to be?
So this argument, once again, is a bad argument because they keep bringing up this term historically inaccurate.
Buzzwords.
Kind of. I'll give you a kind of here, historically inaccurate. It depends what you consider historically inaccurate. The things that they did show, except the only detail I think that they actually showed other than the plastic surgery that is just flat out wrong, is I can think of three moments in this movie that they actually showed that were wrong. It's the plastic surgery, it's the monkey coming in at that date, he was actually not born until a few years later, and it was the his father getting fired by fax. That didn't actually happen. Those three things, and I don't know why they did like that. I mean, it was a funny moment, but that just didn't service the plot at all, so I don't know why
I think it was just for the funnies and the first hint of like, hey, fuck you, Michael's dad. I think that was it.
But other than that, they didn't actually show anything on here that was inaccurate. These historical inaccuracies that you're talking about are more of just missed moments that weren't going to contribute to the plot. I didn't even know Janet Jackson was a person before this movie, and guess what? I watched this movie and understood Michael Jackson's story perfectly, and then after the movie, I looked into Michael Jackson more. Oh, look, he has a sister. Okay. His sister's important to their story. Yeah, to his story. Yeah. Once again, they only have one song together, and it didn't actually take place until after this movie, so the disillusion of Janet Jackson is not really important. If anything, LaToya Jackson has a lot more importance in his early life than Janet Jackson. And so all these things that he's talking about, historical inaccuracy, are actually just dropped moments that maybe could have contributed to the plot, but most likely would have just fluffed it up and made the main plot get lost in the sauce, if you know what I mean.
Introduce something just so that we could do the next step. You know, they introduced, him seeing
the gang violence.
The gang violence, and then boom, now we can do beat it.
Beat it, and then we never talk about it again.
Yeah, and then, so there was a lot of Michael doing things without the why being answered. I wanted to...
So they actually show in the movie him looking at the screen and seeing all the gang violence that's happening. He's like, let's do a song to try and bring these gangs together. And then they show him doing that. So that's the why, and then that's the how. Don't know what this is talking about here. That's actually exactly what they did. So... lost on that.
Know his motivation. Like, I knew his motivation for wanting to tell his father off because his father was beating him as a child and was trying to control him. But like, why did he care so much about the kids? Why did he care so much about the gang violence?
It's called having basic human empathy, bro.
Why zombies? Why did he want to make it zombies? He watched movies with his mom as a young kid, but it was musicals and stuff. And then they just throw in him watching a horror movie right before he does Thriller.
Yep.
Just to kind of be like, oh, he also watches horror.
Did you want 2 hours of him watching movies with his mom? Like, is that what you want? I'm sorry. I'm just a little confused here. These little tiny things don't really contribute to the overall plot, the main plot. Yeah, but oh my god, isn't that what I was fucking saying the whole time? Of historical, you don't need to include every detail of Michael Jackson because that'll take away from the main plot. It turns out that when you have too many of these details, this is what will start happening. But actually, I think these details are really important because it shows more of Michael's character, and it shows how nice of a guy he was, and it shows all the things that are about him, and it's important to show these details in a Michael Jackson movie, not just make it the one main plot. So I think they had the exact right amount of extra details, could have added a few more, could have added a few less, but for the time that was in the movie, to not just sit around and watch a horror film of them watching a horror film for an hour, I think it's pretty good.
If we're concluding here with our thoughts on everything with Michael, I mean, I think the big divide with the review. So there's one side, right, where it's like, not enough dopamine, not enough stuff going on. It's like, okay, cool. This needs to stay within the scope of the plot and what was important to Michael. Like, that's something else as well. Like, this tries to empathize with Michael, someone that was extremely misunderstood throughout his entire life, and is like, what would he say about his own life? And this might be the closest that we might get. This might be, with how intimate and personal some of the scenes were, whether they had anything to do with his father or not. They were intimate, and they got the points that they wanted to get across. You have the other side where it's like the actually nitpick this, nitpick that crowd, where it's like, oh, not every detail's included. And don't get me wrong, it would have been interesting to see stuff included, but guess what? There's probably about 1,000 Michael Jackson documentaries you can watch. Furthermore, most of these critics are experts on the matter, or at the very least have done some preliminary research according to what they say and how prejudiced they act towards this film. There's a reason why you're going to see something where it's like 38% on Rotten Tomatoes, something like that. And the audience meter, I think, was near 90. I might be wrong, but I think it was somewhere near there. But at the end of the day, it's just about scope and empathizing with Michael. And this movie stayed in the scope it needed to stay in, and it empathized with Michael where they needed to empathize with him. So, great film, bad critics.
And that's just such a W take. And to wrap up for me, I mean, these biopic movies, to me, are a way to introduce the character to a film. You're not going to teach about a whole life of these characters that did these amazing things. I think Napoleon, I think Titanic, I think Michael Jackson, Oppenheimer. You're not going to introduce every little detail about this person's life in a 2 to 3 hour movie. That's just not physically possible.
Yeah.
And so, for me, I know that Titanic, the film, in the Titanic community, everyone really, really loves that movie, even though it skips over so many details or just flashes by them real quick. because it gets the main plot of Titanic down, and it's a movie that introduced so many people into the fandom, so then they could go and learn more about the details and become true Titanic historians. And this Michael movie is doing the same exact thing for me right now as we speak. I mean, I didn't give two shits about Michael a month ago, and then I watched this movie, and I'm a diehard fan, knowing every single little detail. So 100%, people, I think, misunderstand the purpose of these biopics, and people don't just want to sit around and enjoy it. They want to either have more or have less or have a mix of both because they can't decide, and that's just not how it works. So Michael movie, 8.3 for me. Could have done a little more in my personal opinion, but what we did get was absolutely perfect. If you want to learn more and don't just want to sit around criticizing because you didn't get enough from this, I have a great channel for you that I watch. It's called The Detail. I'll link it right up here. I'm not sponsored. It's just a little plug. They're a Michael Jackson historian channel. They go over every single detail of his life. So if you want to learn more, go watch documentaries. Go watch that. You don't have to watch this. What this movie did was perfect, and I think we're seeing the aftermath of that being proven now in the box office as we're seeing this movie absolutely blow up and become one of the highest grossing biopic movies of all time.
It's supposed to be I think the number one was actually Oppenheimer, and now this is supposed to surpass it.
It's great. You guys should go watch it. They're pulling it out here soon, so go watch the true best experience of Michael while you can. Hashtag not sponsored. I love y'all, and thank you for watching. We might just try and do more of these. Remember, this is our 10th anniversary year, and we're trying to expand and grow, and we are trying to move into a new era that we are all entering in. So make sure you subscribe and check back here because we're doing all sorts of things. We love y'all, and we'll keep it going. I'll see y'all next time. Bye-bye.